My screen is jumping, so I have to. Shannon, my screen is jumping, so I have to shut down and start up back.
Okay, so should I join again in a few minutes?
That's the best situation right now, yeah.
Okay.
I will,
I'll
you'll see as soon as I restart, yeah.
Okay,
Sorry about that, thank you.
that's okay. No worries.
There you are.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, and that's far from the Baha'i community. Eshragi. Okay, I'll
Yeah,
click record.
perfect.
Ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're logging in from, good evening. This is Habib Ali, your host of the One Love podcast. We're very delighted and privileged to finally have our guest of honor, our headliner guest here with us this evening, Channon. I will allow you to call your second name, Oyeniran.
Oyeniran. Yeah, you got it. It was close.
Channon Oyeniran, and of course, I know her through the work she's been doing with Ontario Black History Society. And we couldn't get her in February, but which is a good thing because Black History is not only in February, it's throughout the year. So Channon graciously accepted our invitation to speak with us later on in the year, which already is April. So, so we're very happy to have her. And Channon, how have you been during the COVID?
Oh, just trying to take it one day at a time, and the ups and downs of lockdowns and not lockdowns, and having two small kids. It's been an interesting 2 years, but grateful that we're at this point. Yeah.
Grateful to be alive, but it seems like all the vaccines and all the masks that we have and protocols and people who've passed away and everything and the quarantine and everything we have done, now that everything is opened up like hilly-willy, nilly-willy, like it seems that we have kind of wasted on all of our lives and on these protocols. Is it?
Yeah. I mean, yes and no. I think, dealing with a pandemic, you kind of don't know what to expect. I'm sure this is the first one for many people in their lifetime, so it's kind of trial and error. But yeah, it's just nice to be on the other side of it, so to speak, and just grateful to be here because it was, as you said, people have lost their lives and have lost loved ones and have gotten sick, and it's really changed the way that we've done things and seen things. So really grateful to be at this point in the pandemic now.
So Channon, the Will Smith and Chris Rock made news the other night on the Oscars. What's your take upon this, especially with the fact that it was obvious that it wasn't a good optics for Black folks getting a chance to finally make a difference on the white Oscars. What's your take about that situation?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, what Will Smith did, was not right. It was assault, plain and simple. I don't, condone what he did, but I understand why he did what he did. But it totally was wrong that he did that. I felt there was other ways as a grown adult person to deal with things like that. And I wish he would have done that. I also just think it overshadowed his historic win and the Williams family and everybody else who was involved. I wish it didn't happen so that wouldn't be overshadowed, but it did. And hopefully he can move on and continue to work on himself as a person, as he mentioned in his apology. At first I did think like, oh my gosh, the white Oscars and coming to the Oscars as Black people and all the issues surrounding that. But then, just hearing different point of views and just realizing that, yeah, we shouldn't care what, it's going to sound harsh and I don't mean it to be this way, but we shouldn't care what white Hollywood and white people have to say about us. And I don't think it's taken us back. I don't think this act has taken us back. I don't see that at all. It's something that happened. They're human beings. They will deal with it, and they have to deal with it in their own way, specifically Will, because he's the one who assaulted Chris Rock. So yeah, I don't think it's taken us back, and I don't think we should necessarily care what white people think about us, and we just need to continue to do what we have to do as a community, and keep moving forward and keep being the best versions of ourselves. Yeah.
Definitely. Will did apologize. I saw that on Instagram yesterday. So, but what about the quote from Denzel Washington? I mean, that seems to have grabbed the moral compass of many people, and even Will himself quoted him.
Well, I mean, I know, from what we've seen that Will and Denzel, are close, and that Will kind of gets advice and looks up to Denzel. But I just, through it all, I just really hope that Will takes the time to look at his actions and look what happened and work on himself, and really do so privately, and take that time. But yeah, it's what everybody's been talking about. And I'm kind of at the point now, I'm just like, okay, I've heard all the differing sides. Let's move on with
Well,
life and
I'm glad that
other
the One
stuff.
Love podcast will record your opinion on this.
Well, yeah, there's lots of differing opinions, but
So we're on YouTube Live, and I've just
mhm.
shared the link on all my social media platforms.
Awesome.
Shannon, is we just March has been Women's Month. Then we had International Women's Day, and you're one
Hmm.
of those women, Black women of excellence, that has been
Thank
awarded, has been
you.
celebrated because of your entirety as a woman. You have sacrificed and contributed and written and published and fought. But my words are a cliche as to the reality of what you have faced as a Black woman to be where you are today. So just I want two quick observations. Do you think of persons like yourself for International Women's Day have been given fair justice or fair share of exposure?
Uh, as a Black woman, yes and no. Myself, maybe I'm getting there, in terms of the work that I do, but it's always with the support and being inspired, and with the help of other women, specifically Black women who I'm surrounded by. So it's not just me, you know, reaching my goals. It's with the help of other women surrounding me. So yeah, I'm on my way, but I there's so much more to accomplish. And Women's Month is just an awesome time to just celebrate those of us who are doing wonderful things now. And I'm a historian, so I always have to look back, right? And all the Black women who inspire me, and who I kind of take up the mantle and just follow in their footsteps, and just try to educate and teach as much as possible about their stories, and the Black experience, specifically in Canada. So it's all with help.
Well, congratulations. I know you've been nominated recently for another award for Women of the Future. Hopefully you get that one. But I want us to delve a little bit into February and what this year's Black History Month meant for you. And if you have any different perspective, the way things have been celebrated.
Black History Month is always a busy time for me, like extremely busy, as you mentioned earlier.
Yes.
But it's always a time that I look forward to with joy in my heart, because it's another opportunity to speak to a variety of people, and teach them and talk to them about the Black experience in Canada specifically. Um, so the month went well, and I always say, when I'm doing my speaking presentations, Black History Month is wonderful. I'm so grateful to Dr. Jean Augustine. I've met her on several occasions, and we're in contact, and I'm so grateful for what she did and what others did to help get Black History Month celebrated in Canada. But it's always, as you mentioned earlier too, Black history is 365 days. you know, and should be taught and as such. So whenever there's an opportunity to teach or speak about Black history in like July or October or May, whenever it is, I'm happy about that. And you know, at the Ontario Black History Society, we really strive, and it's one of our top mandates to get Black history taught in schools throughout the school board, not only in Ontario, but across Canada, because yeah, Black history is Canadian history, as we say at the Ontario Black History Society. It's not something that's just relegated to one month, and we really are working towards, you know, and fighting to get it taught throughout the schools and school boards 365.
You have a Jamaican roots, and there was a woman who fought against the Redcoats, the British Redcoats in Jamaica, called a Nanny.
Nanny of the Maroons, yes.
No, so I was fortunate to visit the Maroons in Trelawney Town and do some research on her Islamic background. Nanny was called Sarah. But on your take, do you think people in Canada actually know the story of Nanny, and do you think Nanny herself has inspired you for the woman you are today?
So I'll go backwards. Yes, she's inspired me.
Good.
And she's actually the subject of one of my children's book. So I know we'll talk about that in a bit, but I have a children's book and it's a series, and she's the subject, the main character and hero in one of the books. So definitely she's inspired me in a time of enslavement, and you know, when women were just seen as, you know, nothing, for her to fight and rise up and be courageous and have strength and be a leader and a visionary for the Maroon people it's inspiring. So definitely Nanny of the Maroons is somebody that inspires me, and I aim to, you know, tell everyone about her whenever I get the chance as well.
Oh, that's amazing. You see, I stumbled upon that piece of information. So you maybe you inherit some of your fierceness and your warrior characteristic from the Maroon Queen and Nanny.
Well, my family is actually descendants of the Maroons, not the Trelawney Maroons. But I'm, you know, on a journey as well to find out more about my family history, and yeah, I take that with me wherever I go. So yeah, I definitely I have qualities that the Maroons possess. So.
Beautiful. Now, Channon, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're joining us, this is Channon Oyeniran. She's an author, she's an activist, she is a woman of excellence, award-winning speaker, and she has been in the forefront in the fight to have Black History Month in our schools throughout the year. We are so happy and we're so privileged to have her with us here today at the One Love podcast, wherever you're joining us, or whenever you'll be listening to this. Know that she has a book out coming out very soon. She is available for speaking engagements. Check out her website, Channon Oyeniran, and I will be sharing that as well on my social media platform. Channon, I want us to go back to your childhood days. Where did you grow up, and what were your challenges like growing up, and how did you overcome them? Maybe you have a story or two to share with us.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was born in Scarborough, grew up there until I was 8, and then moved to the Durham region, where I have been ever since. So long-time resident of the Durham region.
Big up Durham.
You know, yes, big up the Durham region, big up Scarborough as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so I've lived here a while. You know, my childhood was, I had a good childhood. You know, there's some difficulties, but, you know, I overcame them, and my mom made sure to make sure I was okay, just coming from a single parent home. But moving to the Durham region, and I think just one incident that really was a catalyst for, I think, me doing this work that I'm doing now. in grade 3, and I was 8 years old, and I remember it as clear as day. I remember what I was wearing and what my hairstyle was like, and in a new school, and this white boy during one recess, I don't know what happened, but he called me a black B word, and I remember been thinking it. I'm like, why is he associating that word? Like, I knew the word was bad, but why is he associating that word with like who I am, like being black, right? So from then, it just kind of questions started to go around in my head, and growing up throughout the years in school, and getting to grade 8, that was another pivotal school year for me, or year for me. I don't know if they have this program anymore, but it's called Students Together Against Racism. It's a camp, like a week-long camp, where each school sends 2 or 3 of their grade 8 students to this camp, and you learn about racism and how to fight it and how to dismantle it. So I was 13, and I was chosen, one of 2 students chosen, and that really, again, continued to spark my interest in racism, specifically anti-Black racism, and my community, and why there's so much hate for my community. So those are 2 very pivotal incidents in my life that I went through, and that really shaped me, and what I'm doing now. But yeah, I just continue to go to school and hone in on my passions, which is history, and I loved English, and the arts and music and singing and all of that, and continued on when I went to university to study and learn more about enslavement and Black history in Canada. So back to your question, I had a good childhood. Little things here and there, but blessed to have a great childhood. And yeah.
Well, we have seen this with many of the persons we have interviewed, and there is always some person who inspired them in their childhood, or an incident that happens in their childhood that leaves a mark on their psyche, to say that they want to make a difference. They don't want to be that person. They don't want to be defined by that incident. And definitely, you have risen way above that grade 8 incident, to fight anti-Black racism internationally. Channon, what was your university education experience like? Were there cases of discrimination, or just hurdles that you had to climb and become the person you have become today?
Well, I went to the University of Toronto for my undergraduate, and I think I mean, U of T has, thankfully, they have different colleges, right? Because the university is so big. So I was a part of New College, where all of the, people of color and Black people attended. So I was well supported and well surrounded in my program. So which was nice. I don't remember any situations of discrimination, thankfully, in my university career, which is, not the same for everybody, especially going to, the University of Toronto and some of these institutions that are, known to be, white and racist and discriminatory sometimes. So I didn't have that, thankfully, but I went to University of Toronto, New College, and studied Caribbean studies and history, a double major in that, and then decided to do my master's after a year of, thinking, okay, what's next? What do I want to do? Did my master's and went to the UK, and learned more about slavery studies. And I thought to myself, what better place to go to than Britain, which was like the leader in slavery.
Yeah.
So yeah, that, did my master's, and, currently doing my PhD after a long break in between,
You're doing
doing
your
other life
PhD
stuff.
in what studies?
So I'm doing my PhD in the Department of Geography and Planning at Queen's University, and I'm looking at the Black diaspora in the Durham region, specifically community and online community, and how important online community is for the Black community, especially like now, especially in COVID. right? The last couple of years, how important it is to stay connected and how we do so online. So yeah, working on that and
Very
yeah,
interesting. Very interesting.
yes.
I haven't heard of someone pursuing such studies, Black communities and connected in cyberspace.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully it's
Doctor,
the first of its kind.
do you have any professor that stood out that inspired you at the new college?
He wasn't at New College, but he was in the history department, Professor Sheldon Taylor. In my third year at U of T, really, I took a course, African Canadian history, and he just blew my mind with all of the history because it's unfortunate, as I mentioned, we don't learn about Black history in our schools. You know, we're not taught about enslavement. We're not taught about all of the amazing stories and narratives and things that we have here. We're kind of only taught about the Underground Railroad and, you know, slavery in the United States, and that's pretty much it. But taking his course really just blew my mind with, you know, looking at Nova Scotia and the Black loyalists and you know, Marianne Shad Carey and just different people. And you know, I continue to learn. Like, there's over 400 years of history, right? Black history in Canada. So there's so much to learn. But his class really just opened my mind up to so much more.
Wonderful. We just recently lost an icon in that department, Dr. Arnold
Yes.
Itwaru.
Yes, he taught me one class as well. I maybe my first or second year at U of T as well. So I was definitely sad to hear about his passing because he was instrumental at New College and, you know, the Caribbean Studies program there. So
Indeed. Uh, I had the privilege of knowing him through my partner, Dr. Sherry Itwaru, and
mm,
attended his funeral actually, and read subsequently of great tributes to a legend. So I hope that you can walk in that footstep as well, and as you do, you continue to inspire students in the schools. What has been your journey like when you're a spokesperson, you do workshops and presentations to schools and or businesses and organizations? What is that journey like for you?
oh, it's been a great journey. I came back from my master's degree in from the UK in 2012, and I just wanted to get involved with, you know, Black organizations who are putting the mandate forward of Black history. So I did a Google search, found the Ontario Black History Society, and just became a member and wanted to volunteer, and just started out doing volunteer speaking engagements, and the rest is history, so to speak. It's been, you know, I've just seen it be consistently busier every year, and I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to just highlight the Ontario Black History Society and all the work that they've done since 1978. And it's an honor to now be the vice president. It's mind blowing sometimes still that I'm here, but it just goes to show that, you know, you do what you love, follow your passion, follow your dreams, and I believe things will lead you to where you need to be. So it's been a
Well,
great journey.
congratulations on that position,
Thank you.
and Miss Rosemary has done an immensely great job in the leadership. Um, we would love to know more about what's your book that is coming out soon.
Mhm.
What inspired you at the book, and if you have a chance to even to share an excerpt or a story from the book, that would be amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give a little tidbit of it. So it's a series, as I mentioned. It's called The Time Travel Adventures of Ara, Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad. So that's book number one. It's going to be a 5-part series. And Ara is my eldest son. I have two sons, and Ara is 5. His full name is Arolua, Ara for short. And basically, through each book, he goes on a different adventure. He travels back in time. he meets a historical Black figure from that time period who, enlists his help in this adventure that they're on, and he learns about Black history of that time and a different, story and narrative of Black history. So book one is sort of out. It's available for pre-order, and it will be officially out on May 6th. So just a little over a month away. And it's been 4 years in the making of writing this book, and it's a children's chapter book, so it's not the traditional children's book, the 32 page. It's a 130 pages with some illustrations, and to really just get kids to learn about Black history, not only in Canada, but Black history around the world, and to learn about different cultures and heritage. And again, based on my son. So I'm Canadian with Jamaican roots, and my husband is Nigerian. So Ara learns about all of that as well. And yeah, it's a fun book. It's a great book for kids, and I'm excited that it's finally after 4 years out. So yeah, that's a bit about it.
That's very interesting, because Aura now has a link between the Yorubas of Nigeria and the Yorubas of Jamaica.
Yes.
And there is a history where some of those folks actually came as Black loyalists to Nova Scotia.
Mm-hmm.
We saw a bit of that actually in the Book of Negroes on CBC years ago.
Wonderful series.
Wonderful series. I had the pleasure and the honor actually of being invited at the opening and having a conversation with Lawrence Hill.
Awesome.
And
whose dad, by the way, is one of the founders of the Ontario Black History Society.
Oh, wow.
Dr. Yes. Dan Hill, his dad.
Dr. Dan Hill.
Yes.
Makes sense.
Yes.
So, Channon, what inspires you every day, given that the elephant in the room is still anti-Black racism, is still all forms of racism, but we are talking about anti-Black racism in this context. The elephant in the room is still there, profiling and police brutality. I work in corrections as a chaplain, so I know every day the stories of discrimination, and the statistics speak for themselves of what percentage of Black inmates get parole compared to others and all of that. So what you think is really should be the push to end this form of racism that we're faced with in Canada?
Well, I really feel like education is the foundation. I feel like it really starts with our young people and our children. And that's particularly why, I wrote this book and I'm writing this series, because I feel there needs to be more information out there for not only Black children, all children, to read and appreciate and normalize Black people and our experiences and our culture and who we are, and understand the history, right? As I mentioned, there's this over 400-year history, and many people that I speak to, and I'm sure many Canadians, don't even know that we had enslavement here in Canada for over 200 years. So teaching our kids and our young people about the history, I feel, will really help to kind of eliminate anti-Black racism once they know and they do better, and they see, they appreciate the histories of not only Black people, but others who came and come to this country and helped to build it. I really think education and changing the curriculum and getting Black history taught in schools is the foundation of, changing some of these things that we're still dealing with today, because these are just legacies of enslavement that we're seeing now, the police brutality, racism, over policing, the justice system, right? The over representation in the justice system. So these are all, legacies that we're seeing. So there's lots that can be done, but for me personally, I think education is at the front. Yeah.
Education is key. According to Malcolm X,
Mm-hmm.
education is the passport to the future.
Yes.
Do you have any stories of from your presentations or from your educational encounters with students or others that have pretty much changed someone's mind, or someone was awakened to a fact that was unknown, or even to speak to systemic racism, like maybe someone made a policy change?
Well, I mean, over the years, one thing that stands out, I remember going to a school and asking them a few years ago, asking when we were in person
Yes.
before COVID, asking the students, like what do you learn? What have you guys learned about Black history so far? And they just started listing off Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks and Malcolm X. And I was like, inside, I was like, oh, like I love King Jr. and Rosa Parks and Malcolm X. No, not taking away from them, but it really hit me, and not just at school, but other places, that we are really only taught about African American history. And I've kind of set a personal goal for myself to change that narrative. And I know many scholars and people at the Ontario Black History Society are doing that. The president, Natasha Henry, has like dedicated her career to focusing on Black Canadian history. So that's one thing that I always, whether it's a school or an organization, or it's always brings joy to my heart when, after a presentation, the comments in the Zoom chat is, oh my goodness, I didn't know about the history that we had in this country, or I didn't know that we had enslavement, or I didn't know about Elijah McCoy or Marianne Shad Carey or the Black Loyalists or the Trelawney Maroons or Hogan's Alley in Vancouver or Amber Valley in Alberta, or they totally just amazement and didn't know. And it always just brings joy to my heart that I'm able to help in some way to share that information. So yeah, that always gets to me. So it reinforces that I'm on the right track, at least to to share the
Lovely.
information.
Well, talking about that, activism has gone way to Jean Augustine or even before, but one of the persons that I look up to, and I've interviewed her in the past, Dr. Afua Cooper.
Yeah.
Dudley Laws, when he used to protest against the justice system in front of the prisons, it was young Afua Cooper who was with him. And she took up that studies, as you were saying earlier, like we don't have enough people who are actually taking up that mantle and say, I will go into the studies, I will go into the career, I will go into the field and make this Black history my job, my dream, my life. And people like Dudley Laws who are forgotten, I mean, except for the award that was put in his name. But I feel like a lot of these great folks that have recently or currently making, like Mr. Smalls, right? Recently we talked to him for the posters that he has made. He is really trying to show something current. So I wish you can speak a little bit more to that, of how important it is for us to celebrate and highlight and make known our current leaders and Black leaders in Canada in the different fields. So our children growing up here, they can feel related to these current Black leaders.
You said it. It's so important. It's so important to recognize them and honor them, the work that they're still doing. I know Robert Smalls as well, and I've met with him a couple of times. And I remember growing up in school and seeing his posters in my school. So to actually know that he's still doing it and meet him and talk to him and his reason why. And it's just so important. Afua as well, Dr. Cooper. I've met her and I can reach out to her, and I'm always just still in awe that I'm able to be in the same arena, so to speak.
Yes.
I still see myself as I'm just Shannon. I'm just doing what's in my heart. I'm just doing what I can for my community, whatever little way I can. Right. Sometimes it seems like it's a big task, but I just do what I can, and I know that in their own way,
No,
Dr.
believe you me,
Cooper.
it's not a little
Mm-hmm.
task. You're not doing little. You're
Oh,
doing huge, huge, huge.
thanks. It doesn't, I just, whether it's that speaking engagement or whatever it is, any way to get that information across. But yeah, I really look up to Dr. Cooper and Jean Augustine and Robert Small and Natasha Henry, and there's so many others that I could name, but it's so important to just honor them because they're doing their work. It's who they are, right? It's who we are. I'll include myself in that. If not
Yes,
us, then who, right? If we're
exactly.
not going to do the work, then who are we going to do it for? And it's for our future generations. And now that I have children, I want to make sure that they are growing up knowing that who they are and their culture and their history and their heritage is appreciated, and that myself and others have paved the way for them, right? So yeah, it's so important. And um, if they're watching, thank you again to all of everyone who's just doing what they can to push the agenda of um, Black history in Canada forward.
Absolutely. We are standing on the shoulders of giants like the names we
Mm-hmm.
have mentioned. And it's just like how we acknowledge whenever we have an event in Toronto that we are standing on the lands of the Mississaugas and the First Nations.
Yes.
Is a similar tribute or a similar acknowledgement needs to be made at that when it comes to Black History Month. We are standing not only in this shoulders of giants, but on the blood, sweat, and tears of
Mm-hmm.
the slaves who were killed and who died
Mm-hmm.
and who were murdered and who were lynched and whose religion and culture were taken away. Talking about
Mm-hmm.
culture, I think we haven't had a conversation during my interviews in February about music and cuisine because initially,
Mm.
as you know, we tried to avoid that conversation because that was the only conversation then. But coming back now, you think you can touch a bit about? Have you seen any celebration of uh, Black folks' music and the cuisine in a different light during the COVID pandemic, given everyone was so much into food and cooking and shows and showing off their culinary skills. And you have studied at George Brown, so which is known for its culinary skills.
I know. I unfortunately didn't get near the school of the culinary school. I was across the street, but I would always walk by. But definitely, I would say during COVID, in a couple of online groups I'm a part of, there's been this rise in businesses, particularly Black women, and cooking or baking businesses, which I love to see, right? Because it just means that we're spreading our Caribbean cuisine or our African cuisine, more widespread. And I've definitely seen that rise during COVID, right? It COVID really, as awful as it is, it really gave people the time to kind of do what they love and take the time to slow down and say, okay, what am I going to do? Let me do what I'm passionate about. And I've seen a lot of businesses come up and yeah, just showcasing the food and the culture. And it's so important, right, to give bring awareness and give a chance for our special, yummy, tasty cuisine to be at the forefront and for more people to order it and love it just as much as we do. So
Lovely. I have two things on that because when people talk about Jamaican patties, They do not
Mm-hmm.
associate it with being halal. So a friend of mine in Scarborough actually has halal patties,
Oh, okay.
halal Jamaican patties. So that's something that I have promoted. Um,
You'll have to share that with
that's
me later.
it's called the Patty Cake and Ice Cream Shop on in
Oh,
Scarborough by
okay.
Eglinton and Brimley.
Okay. Okay.
And secondly, talking about Trinidadian doubles, I was in
Mm-hmm.
Trinidad recently, and I told someone I actually had jerk doubles. And they
Oh,
said,
how was that?
oh no, and they said, oh, that's Jamaican, that's not Trini. I said, but there's the doubles is Trini, and the
Yes,
jerk is
Jamaican.
Jamaican. And it was halal chicken, so I got the best of three worlds.
Nice. Oh.
So that's a plug-in for Leela's Roti and doubles and on Victoria Park and 401.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
you're right. The cuisine has definitely exploded, and we are grateful
Mm-hmm.
because this One Love platform that we have started a few years now. It's about that. It's about food is love,
Mm-hmm.
family is love, music is love,
Mm-hmm.
faith is love, and it's about bringing people together and to
Yes.
celebrate. So that's why I see tonight we have Farah Estragi from Durham Multi-Faith Council, who you may have known, and from the Baha'i community. And we recently had a beautiful multi-faith event. I wish you could bring some greetings and some questions, Farah Estragi.
Good evening, everybody. Pleasure to meet you, Shannon.
You
I hope I
too.
pronounced that correctly. I
You
do
did.
remember the STAR program.
Yes.
I do not know what school you went to, but back in the olden days, when I also moved to Durham, we used to have the Wildfire Dance Theater go to the different schools
Mm,
and perform spiritual concepts of equality and things of that nature and unity and bringing the artistic expression into the program. And so I do remember the STAR program from when I was
yeah.
involved with that. And I always, I myself grew up in an international school in India. So we had friends from 33 countries. For me,
Mm,
associating with different religions and different cultures is just the norm. It's not an abnormal. And so it is something that, as you talked about, the education of children is, and our younger generation, I think that is the key. But in addition to that, I'm not sure how you look upon spiritual education, because I think there is a difference between, regular education, which is wonderful. It gives people knowledge, but that spiritual education
mm-hmm.
provides people the foundation for how they associate with each other and how they do their businesses and things of that nature. So I just was wondering if how you look upon spiritual education.
Oh, it's top notch. I didn't. So I'm a Christian. I'm a born again believer. I'll mention that. So spirituality is key. Um, not only for myself and my husband and our family and how we govern our family and our how we are raising our boys, to really just appreciate and to tune into their spiritual side and their relationship with God. Um, as you said, it governs everything in our lives, right? Every aspect, education wise as well. So, yeah, very, very important. Very, very important. Definitely.
Solid, solid.
Thank you. Mhm.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Farah Estragi. She's an activist. You have to get in touch with her.
I know we'll have to connect. We'll have to connect after for sure.
So what's your future plans like? What future projects, given you've done so much and you have so much energy and light and love
Oh,
that
thank you.
exuberates from your persona. And
Thank
when you
you.
walk into that classroom, the aura that you create, I'm sure the students, they feel energized and inspired. And that's what is all education is about, inspiring someone
Mhm.
else. So tell us about your future project and a bit about the
Oh,
book, a little bit more about the book so people could know where they can
sure.
grab it.
Yeah. Oh, future plans is just, first and foremost, as I mentioned, I'm in my PhD program, second year, doing my qualifying exams in the next few months. That's wanting to get through that. I have a couple of conferences coming up, one in the UK and one out of Carleton University that I'll be presenting at. My book, of course, I'll leave that till, I'll get to that in a few minutes. I also have a podcast that I host as well called Black to Canada. We just wrapped up season 2. So I'm now taking a little break just to get more stories and interview more people and have that ready to go in the next couple of months. So Black to Canada, it's on everywhere that you listen to podcasts. So I have that and family and my kids and my husband and ministry and, last but not least, my book that is coming out on May the 6th. It's available for pre-order now on Amazon Canada, Amazon.com, Amazon UK, Barnes and Nobles. I'll be attending some book fairs in Scarborough and some schools in Durham to promote it, and just to really get people to, purchase it for their kids or their cousins or nieces, nephews. And it's just a fun story, but, still teaching about Black history. And that's the main purpose of the book and the series. So May the 6th, but it's available for purchase, to pre-order it now. And Habib, I'm sure you will let people know all my social media handles so that they can follow and get in touch with me. And I love to stay connected with people. So
Thank you, of course. And we will put that information in the Spotify. Ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're logging in from, we had such a pleasurable and delightful conversation with the inspiring and award-winning author and activist and woman of excellence, Black woman of excellence. We didn't catch her in February because that's a packed month, but we definitely have lived up to the new motto of Black History Month, and that is Black History Month is throughout the year. So we're happy to have you, Channon. And you have the parting words tonight.
Oh, parting words. I will reiterate again that Black history is Canadian history. Continue to learn about it. Continue to teach those around you about it. Continue to research about it because it's a beautiful history. And it's shaped who we are as the Black community. And I think last but not least, just for anyone, particularly young people, to just follow your dreams, do what you're passionate about, do what's in your heart. You may have people coming against you or saying that you shouldn't do it or what have you, but do it anyway. Do what's in your heart, do what you're passionate about. And I believe that God will lead the way and help you to step into your path and what he's called you to do. So parting words. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. Words of a sage, a young sage.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And you're getting some hearts over there.
Yes, thank you, Farah.
All right, and good night. And assalamu alaikum, shalom, shanti, and peace to each and every one of you who are watching our One Love podcast, wherever you're from. And the holy month of Ramadan is coming up this weekend. On Sunday, remember, we're having this Saturday and Sunday, we're distributing 700 food hampers to the One Love table to families across the GTA. We serve families. You've heard in the pandemic how people suffered, and we serve from all backgrounds: Jane and Finch, Oakville, Durham, people in the prison, international students, refugees, the Ukrainian refugees, the Afghan refugees, single moms. People come and pick up, people get it delivered. So wherever you're hearing this from, kindly continue to support us, and God bless. Have a good night. Thank you again, Channon and Farah Estragi.
My pleasure.
Thank you for having us. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.